Hello Internet, it is Ricky here and I am back with another episode of Exploring Operating Systems. Tongue Twister 101. And we are here with a Linux distro. And a very interesting one at this. Now, I've got a bit of a quick question for you, for those who are watching. I don't know if I'm going to be premiering this episode or what. This will probably just, I've aged the episode just a little bit too much. But I've got a bit of a question for you. If a product resembles another product, is it then a rip-off or a knock-off if it advertises itself as being such a thing? If it's a product advertising itself as being a fake product, genuine to the public, but they can buy this product to pretend they have the official product, is it still a knockoff? Or is it its own thing? Because I do believe this is one of those operating systems that did at one stage in time try to advertise itself as a, not so much as a rip-off or a knockoff, but a lookalike operating system to Microsoft Windows and as an alternate in China. This is Deepin Linux 15.11 desktop, as you can see here, and this is actually a Chinese developed Linux distro. So let me just log in. And here is the desktop. So, as you can see here, it looks very simple on the offset, and it kind of reminds me of another operating system I have seen before, not showcased in this series, called Red Star Linux. I do believe YouTubers such as Some Ordinary Gamers have also reviewed that operating system. It's no longer continued, but it imitated Mac OS. And you might initially get those vibes with this. I have to say, I actually kind of like it for what it's worth. It's actually much more simple than, say, Mac OS and even some other Linux distros in question. But I wanted to show you something about this operating system. If you've watched the series before, you may have seen me talk about systems, or even so-called fake ones, through PowerPoint or Visual Studio, or even the odd other thing, that WebTopper kind of thing. You may have seen me talk about those, and I find them quite interesting because they have their own distinctive programs in many cases, and some of them are actually better programmed than others. That was a reason why I wanted to showcase this episode today, but this is, of course, the Deepin Linux desktop. And initially, back in 2015, I think before 2015 even, I probably would have recommended this operating system. Because apparently there was said to be some software in the back end, and that because it's a Chinese owned product, there's a notification just popped up right there. Apparently there was a speculation that this operating system had back end software, which in this current climate we're also complaining about China as well, even before that with politics in America and between China and that kind of thing. A lot of speculation between China and them putting a lot of surveillance software in their computer software products. Deepin Linux was unfortunately one of those projects that was accused of this. They have since admitted that it may have been in there, but they've removed it. So whether or not I still recommend this operating system is still to be. I kind of like it. I had a bit of a phase where back last year, this computer that I'm actually using to record this episode, it broke. The CPU, turned out the CPU had blew, so I've got, besides just getting the whole thing gutted, I also got the computer mostly replaced. It's still the same case, still the same hard drive, but the motherboard and the CPU are different. So yes, that's what that happened. And in the process of that, waiting to get that computer fixed, I moved on to my laptop, which is a Dell laptop. And of course, besides it being advertised to be built for Windows 10, when it came to the experience, it just did not stack up. And I did kind of blame Windows 10 quite a bit for that, because it is a very power heavy operating system. I don't have a quiff anymore. Quiff? Is that even a word? I don't have that issue with Windows 10 anymore because it runs quite well on the computer I'm running it on. I'm getting a new laptop hopefully soon when this whole beverage bug, I think as some people are calling it right now, blows over. Hopefully I'm going to get that soon, but in the process, I actually use Deepin Linux as my daily driver on that laptop because I uninstalled Windows 10 and uninstalled this, and it actually made the laptop, which was very slow, very awful painful to use under Windows 10, run smooth as heck with this. I even live stream from this laptop as well. And yeah, I do recommend some kind of Linux distro if you're running a laptop that is kind of low powered. So with that being said, I am going to shut up now and we're going to talk about this operating system. Alright, so what you see here, I've already played about this operating system in its current installation. There are some differences between what you will see when you install this and what I see. But it's remotely the same because I have actually tested it out. There's quite a lot of personable options on this program that you'll see later, but I've kind of like reverted this back to the previous look that you get when you first install it to get you an idea how it looks. So as you can see here, there are some. It's kind of a macOS-esque dock. So you've got a launcher link down here, and you've got File Manager, you've got an App Store, which I think actually, because I do believe if this operating system runs under the Ubuntu code base. So I think the App Store is actually based on the Ubuntu Software Center. That could be where that comes from, but I'm not too sure because a lot of the programs in this operating system are actually dedicated, built for it. So there's a music app, a video app, which, as I've already just mentioned, these are actually examples of programs that are built into the OS exactly. You can't find this anywhere else. So we go to the launcher first of all. Right. So this is the first example of what you see when you first load up the operating system. And as I say, I've been playing about with it, so it's a lot different. There's a lot of stuff that's different between how you'll see it when you first experience the system and how you'll see it here. But there's also an Imageviewer as well. WPS Office. It's actually quite a good Microsoft Office replacement if you're interested. I have showcased it. I don't think I've showed the case on the video before, but I have made a review on my gaming channel called It's Ricky's Channel before. And I have to say, it's actually quite a good Microsoft Office 2007 Plus replacement, because you can kind of see here, it pretty much resembles it. And there are some differences between the two programs, probably for copyright reasons. And so it may be a little bit more tricky to get used to it, but if you understand Microsoft Office to some extent, you'll get used to this in no time. So it's very tabular, and there are actually very many options you can use to personalize it the way you like. You can make it look like the Office 2003, I think. And compared to packages such as LibreOffice or OpenOffice, this is probably your best bet when it comes to Microsoft Office replacement because of how it just looks. And it's very tabular as well. I think you can actually run your documents in separate windows as well. So that's an option for you. It's kind of tabular like a web browser, but you can actually run new documents in the separate windows as well as in the same window, which is actually quite neat, I have to say. And that is Writer. You also have Presentation, which you can actually, it's also compatible, it's interchangeable. You can use WPS Office as well as some other packages like LibreOffice and all sorts to edit your PowerPoint, Microsoft Word or Excel spreadsheet documents. So yeah, it is very tier to tier when it comes to a design kind of thing. And yeah, for those you're probably wondering, yes, you can actually get a copy of this for Windows, as well as I think Mac OS as well. There's a version available. But that is WPS Office. It doesn't actually come built into the operating system, it comes with it instead. And you can actually install it for your own computer, whether it runs Windows 10 or whatever. The File Manager, which could be based on Dolphin, I'm not too sure. But it is very simple. So I do kind of believe that any new user coming coming from. This is actually better than Zorin OS, I think, and Zorin OS faces itself as an operating system that is used to be helpful for a transition over from Windows to the Linux platform. But I actually think this is actually better at doing that job than Zorin OS, because it's actually so simple. It's very Windows in how it displays its categories and such. It's very easy to navigate. I think I've actually added some stuff on here, but the developer of the operating system has added their own pre-built contents. I can't remember if I added this or if that's actually from... That's a sample file. But we will listen to it right now, because it is an open source song. Alright, and this is how the music player works. It just lists a whole bunch of stuff. It's kind of similar to a mobile music app. Very simple in its design, but it's very interesting in that way. Single loop, there's options to loop it, there's play and pause, you've got, you know, all the basic options are there, and it pretty much looks, if I was to scale this down a little bit, it would pretty much look like an Android app. But it's very simple in its design, as I say, and there's also a search function. There's additional options here. You can set it to dark mode. That's an option. And yeah, and there's also this option where you can minimize it to a tray. So I'll show how that works. So it's minimized down here. So you can close the app window itself and minimize it instead. So what you'll see is this little bar down here. This is the notification area, but it extends that way. You've got access to the volume control. There is, I think that's for the Wi-Fi, but that is there. And we'll go to the video app now, and it's very simple, as I say as well. You have to actually locate a video you want to play on this. So you can open a file, and I think there's also an option for light mode. Yep, that's available. Open a file. So I'm going to go to the videos area, and this is actually the introduction to the operating system. Alright, so I'll turn the volume down, but this is actually the introduction you see the first time you install this operating system. Kind of like the out-of-box experience you get in, say, operating systems like Windows 2000, for instance, or Windows Millennium Edition, or Windows 98. This kind of pops up in its own kind of like window when you first start up the operating system as well. So this is what you'll get. It's just showcasing how the operating system works in a very detailed fashion. So pictures. I think these are actually shortcuts, but these are actually put onto the operating system as well, and you can actually use these to set as your desktop background. We'll get to that later. And also, there are many different ways you can actually view this the list for your programs, kind of thing. You may have seen it the first time I opened up the menu in menu form. You can see it as a kind of like start menu kind of thing. You can also have it in full screen mode, and there's also an option to see everything in category form. So yeah, it's very personable, if that's even a word. Others, and you can jump to where you want to go. Disable that, and you just got a plain screen, kind of similar in a way to, I can't remember, it's Fern OS. I can't remember what OS it is reminding me of, but it reminds me of something. And there's also a search function as well. Kind of Android-ish, kind of Windows 10 full screen mode, search screen kind of thing. So yeah, there's not too much to complain about there. If you're interested in that, there's another reason to get this operating system. An Imageviewer screenshot program, which you can use to actually take a screenshot of the thing itself, and you can save it, and you can cancel that as well. Imageviewer, it will locate most of your files on the actual stuff itself, and actually allow you to display them. I think you can actually use this to edit files as well. Dark theme? No, you can't. It's actually very simple. Fit to window size, you can rotate it. I do believe you can't seem to do it right now though for some reason, but yeah, that's a thing. Probably because it's been used as a desktop background, that's probably the reason you can't do it. You've got the clock down here, you've got an onboard keyboard you can access at any time. I do believe you can actually resize it as well. I think you can drag it wherever you like. It doesn't seem to want to do it though. But that's the on-screen keyboard. Close it right there. I just noticed the drag button, and to switch to other options, you've also got this here as well. So yes, you've got quite a lot here. Screen recorder, kindly reminder. This application cannot run without window effect. Fair enough. Window effects are disabled on this because it is running on a virtual machine, and it does seem to run quite slow on a virtual machine. My computer, and another thing you can do as well, you can actually drag and drop a lot of icons to the desktop as well. By default, there's nothing on the desktop, but you can actually add icons to it. And I'll show you how that works in just a second. I don't think it works in this mode. Oh yeah, I've just remembered now. Let's make it full screen again. And it's loading something. You can see that kind of like bubble in the corner. That is Google Chrome. If I right click this, send to desktop, you hear this kind of like very interesting sound in it. If I play this again, right click, let's see how that looks. It's added some icons to the desktop. And you can drag them about and do whatever you like in that sense. Now, one thing I don't like about Linux in general is if you install Google Chrome or the open source equivalent called Chromium, it's got its own a title bar experience thing going on, and it's quite dodgy, especially when you're running this on a laptop and you've got such a small resolution. But you can, of course, go into the settings for this, and there should be a setting to disable. Use system title bar and borders. There you go. And Google Chrome for Linux is the same as Google Chrome for Windows and such. Would be quite ironic if it wasn't, because you know Chrome OS and Chromium OS, which is the OS used for Chromebooks, a Google product, has Google Chrome installed kind of thing. So it would be kind of rude if you didn't have all the features from that on this. So you got Mozilla Thunderbird. I think there was actually Mozilla Firefox installed in this. I can't remember if I deleted that or not. Could be wrong. So there's a document viewer, which I think is actually a PDF viewer, if I'm not mistaken. Not got any PDF documents to read though. Simple scan. So there's a lot of options for printing on this. The show desktop button. Getting just as hit. There's a calculator. Very simple. But yeah, it's all here basically, and there's also an option for a dark theme on most of these programs as well. Package manager. Introduction, which I think is actually the program I was just talking about. The introduction to the thing itself. Very Windows 2000, Windows Millennium Edition-esque in a way. G-partied. Multitask view. Fair enough. Control Center, we'll get to that in just a little while. Editor, what's this? Oh, this is a programming thing. Terminal, which is kind of like a command prompt for Linux. So there you go. Voice recorder, that option exists. I'm not sure if it will actually work because I'm using my voice recorder to actually record this outside, so I don't think it'll actually work a dual mode. But that's an option. Manual, user feedback, and all sorts. So let's get to the customization stuff now. I'm going to scale this down to kind of like start menu-esque mode. The search function still exists. You've got options, quick options to different areas of the file system. My computer, for instance, and all sorts. Properties. You can actually view that as well. And you've also got options for shutting down or settings. All categories and all sorts. So it's all there. Another thing you can do with this dock, if I right click on it, there's a mode for fashion mode, which is what this is called with the dock, or efficient mode. What does that remind you of? This is efficient mode. You've got this little thing in the corner, which I think if I was to open a window up, it minimizes everything away. Curious sat. Of course, you've also got the quick launch again with the little icon for the music app still on. A link to the power off option. You've also got the onboard keyboard again, Wi-Fi connection, and current volume. Alright, so pretty much looks like Windows now, doesn't it? and and as it says on the tin, it's very efficient. I have to say so myself. I think there are actually ways you can customize this as well, like change the color and all sorts, but I don't think I can do that because, as I say, the visual effects aren't turned on because, yeah, the virtual machine. Status, you can actually hide this as well, so if I move my cursor away, what should happen is this bar at the bottom should actually disappear in some way or form. But if I actually go to keep hidden, I have to go down here to bring it back up. Keep showing. Size, you can make it large, make it touchscreen-esque, make it smaller. Size, medium, keep it medium. Location, you can also change its location. And where's the location? So top, and then back to bottom. I said bottom. But yeah, so it's very simple in its design, and as I say, you can actually go to the start menu right here, or the Deepin menu. I'm not too sure how you would refer to this. Launcher, as it's called on here. And if there's other programs I want to put onto the desktop, all I have to do is send to the desktop, send to the desktop, and send to the desktop. I can also add stuff to the dock as well, as you can see. I'll add the calculator to the dock. Accessibility. Undock. And I can undock if this is much I like. I can also clean it as well. I can also drag it away, and that would make it disappear. So yeah, quite a lot of very handy features, and that is the settings area right here. So there's no like sidebar kind of thing, there's no action center kind of thing. The action center is instead the settings area. As I say, very accessible. This is the top view, but when you go into the actual settings view itself, it's kind of similar in a way to the Google Chrome settings area. It's very linear, but it is very accessible. So you've got options to change the display mode, you've got the resolution, the brightness, personalization, you can customize the icons. Appearance, so you can change the icons like so, you can kind of notice them changing as we go. I actually kind of like this, I'm going to keep that by the way. Appearance. You can also change advertised. You can change the cursor theme so it looks very classic Windows-esque. Even more classic Windows or classic Linux. Your mileage may vary on this one. So that is that window effect. So what does that do? It brings up this kind of glossy, glassy look, which is, I have to say, it's very nice for what it is. Also, a right click option, I forgot to mention this. You can add new folder, you've got new documents, you can add this kind of stuff going on right here. Auto merge, select all, open in terminal, display settings, corner settings. So if I was to move a mouse to a corner, alright, hopefully it should work. It might not. Hopefully the settings will show up. It doesn't seem to want to show it in here because I'm using this in a windowed mode thingamajig. But again, that is an option right there. So I can also disable that as well just to keep everything clean. So that defaults it to black for some reason. Speakers, so there's audio options as well. Advanced. Sound effects, which you can disable or enable kind of thing. There's no options to change the sound effects. You can't seem to change the actual effects themselves. I think there is a way to go into the file system and locate the audio files, but you have to end up replacing the audio files, not adding to them, which is kind of sad. But you've got a big clock right here, you've got all this kind of stuff going on. A timeout mode. It's all here basically. And the system about section. Now, let's take a look at some of the additional options you can use to customize this. Let's go into here. So we've got wallpaper slideshow every 30 seconds. So I'm going to let that just loop. Alright, so every 30 seconds it should alter and change. Presentation, WPS read sheets. Of course I read them. What are you saying? let's just re-add some stuff to the dock right here. There's an option to add to startup as well. I didn't actually notice that before. Yeah. But I do believe actually, just like Windows itself. Oh, that's like a waiter sliced cheese. That's like Swiss cheese. Nice. Like similar in a way to Windows itself, the icon for the trash or the recycle bin in many cases does actually change when you empty it or fill it up. Empty. It's got quite an interesting sound effect to go along with it, but it changes the icon basically changes when you add to it, and I think you can actually can you? Does that delete the actual program or just the link to it? Just the link. So empty trash, and I can re-add it. Send to desktop. Boom. So there's no need to worry about breaking it. It's very. It seems to be very well developed. There's no way to break it as far as I'm concerned. I could be wrong. There could be some ways to break the operating system, but it is similar in a way to Windows as well. It is also very heavily. Oh, can you change the modify avatar? You can add your own. I am learning as I go. Of course, as I say, I did actually use this at the time, but there's quite a lot of stuff I've forgotten. Clock. But yeah, as I say, it's very customizable for what it is. It's very locked down as well. So there is a hint of customizability, but it's also very locked down, similar in a way to Windows itself. I think the actual code for Deepin Linux is actually closed. I'm not too sure about that, but it could be. I do believe it's so. And as I say, there's an app store, or the font installer, which I do actually believe it actually changed its name. That's actually quite quick. But yeah, it's all here. You can download some new applications. This is the list of processing downloads. Recommended apps, clear cache, which I think that actually does it a concurrent kind of thing, where it clears the cache on the operating system, because you saw that the first time the system started. So let's go back, and you can search for an app you like. So maybe say there's Firefox right there. I'll search for Firefox anyway, just for a laugh, and it is right there. You can quite easily install it. So if you don't like Google Chrome, go for Firefox instead. Pale Moon, I didn't know that was still a thing. So, there's plenty of games. You've got Steam on here. I've tried running Gary's mod on this. I do actually have Gary's mod. On my laptop, it did kind of work fairly, but as I say, get a properly well equipped laptop that can actually handle games like this. I think it's got an emulator as well for like some like handheld game consoles. Mines, which is kind of like Minesweeper in a way. PPSSPP, sorry, is actually an emulator for the PSP. I know that because I use it. MAME, I'm not too sure about what MAME's supposed to be. Is that an emulator for arcade games? I'm not too sure. There's a chess game, very Linux in its way. Tux typing, Web Sonic. Is that Ultimate Flash Sonic? Interesting. Lights off. So there's quite a big library of games on this. Most of them are kind of like card games and all sorts, but it's all there, as I say. OpenShot. Quite a lot of video players and video editing software on this. If I wanted to, I could probably change over to Deepin Linux and make that my daily driver, but I'm still kind of into the Windows ecosystem right now, so maybe not in the future. I might use it as a side loader operating system instead. So Internet Explorer, 360 security browser. Why has it got an Internet Explorer kind of thing going on? So Firefox Quantum. It's got Opera. It's got Adobe Flash Player for Firefox. Quite a lot of stuff, so you'll never get the bored. And of course you can add stuff as well. I think it does have a Wine emulator, or a Wine system built in, but I'm thinking I have to download kind of a lot of stuff, and it will install quite a lot of Windows programming and games. So that option exists as well. It's, as I say, it's very hard coded, I think. Very stable, I have to say. Very, even when you've got the glass settings, I can't remember what that's called again, but when you've got the glass setting enabled, this OS is still very low intensity when it comes to the hardware usage. It's really, really good. And I think is there a task manager on this? Multitasking view. Window effect, right. But yeah, as I say, I think there's actually a way to view the... I can't remember where it is though. But there should be a way to check out the CPU. Is that it there? System monitor. But compared to Windows, this uses less resources than other operating systems. As you see on the screen, it's only using 9.5% of the CPU. This was the same perspective as what was going on with the CPU in my laptop, which was a two slot Celeron processor. I can't remember what the slot is supposed to be. Dual core, sorry, my brain is not working. But it was a dual core Celeron processor, which is kind of similar to what you get in the Chromebooks. And yeah, that was running Windows. Not good. And with this, you're getting the same exact numbers on there as you're getting on the laptop, and it was working just as good. So yes, as I say, if you've got a low-end laptop, especially if you've got all of this stuff running in the background, it still seems to work far better than a Windows laptop would ever would. So I think Roblox does work on this as well, but I'm not too sure. That being said, that could actually be everything that I have to show for this. I'll go back onto this. Hopefully I can bring the settings back up. Resolution. Yeah, I think there's actually quite a lot of the stuff I can showcase on this. So there's quite a few good options you can use for customizing this. Desktop background, you've got icon changing and ways to customize. You can have it in dock form, kind of similar to Mac OS. You can have it the start menu in full screen form. So will you get bored? I've already repeated this multiple times, but you won't get bored with this. You can also add your own wallpapers to this as well. You can add your own stuff here, just normal way. Just do it through Google Chrome. If you've got your own photos, personal photos kind of thing, that will do just as well as well. But with that being said, I'm not going to leave this episode any longer. That being said, this is Deepin Linux. Hope you enjoyed this little look through the Deepin system itself. As I say, it's very simple. Everything I've already said before, I'm going to repeat again. It's actually quite a very good operating system. And I thought I would actually showcase the operating system because of the fact that compared to other Linux distros, this has its own programs out of the box. The music app, the screenshot app, but it's very well stocked out of the box, and there are ways you can add to it as well. That being said, I am Ricky. Thanks for watching Exploring Operating Systems, and I will talk to you next time. Take care and stay safe. Bye.